it's going to break the front wheel, blow the tire, break the front wheel, probably break the front forks or bend the front forks. I hit it, and of course it made an ungodly noise.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
Good morning, everybody. Cruiseman here. It's a little later today, 6:50, almost 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting a late start today. Slept a little later today than normal. In fact, that brings up a topic I'll talk about here in a little bit about sleep. I just decided to get out the camera and do a little videotaping this morning on my way to coffee, since I can now film more or less in the dark. Kind of gives an interesting look at things. I'm going to go to a different Einstein's this morning. I'm going to go to one over in Coppell. Honestly, it's a little bit nicer Einstein's than the one we normally go to in Carrollton. They definitely have better bagels, which I don't eat many bagels. Sometimes I'll eat one on a Sunday. I'm kind of on the low carb thing. So we're going to go over there and have some coffee this morning. I'm going to do a little editing. I'm working on a new trailer for my Cruiseman's Garage maintenance videos. I shot the trailer yesterday in my driveway. It's a little ugly because obviously everything's dead right now because of winter, but we had nice weather yesterday. It got up to 72 degrees here in Dallas-Fort Worth in our area, and it's 62 degrees right now. Pretty nice for 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's supposed to get up to 71 degrees today. So I thought I better take advantage of this weather. If I'm going to do some riding, now would be the time. I'll raise this up too so we can see over the windshield. We got a lot of traffic this morning. Everybody's on their way to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. One of the main reasons I don't like going to the Einsteins in Coppell is this traffic. I just don't really like getting on a stressful, I call this the Carrollton International Speedway, because usually people are zipping through here at 80, 85, 90 miles an hour. Like I'm going 70 right now, and you can see the guy in the fast lane. He's over there probably going 80, 85. I also want to take a second to mention my other YouTube channel, Cruise Report. You know, we do review cruise ships, which is where the name Cruiseman came from. And we post reviews of our cruises over on Cruise Report. And that channel was demonetized back in 2011. And so all the work and effort I put into creating the videos over there, I get no compensation from YouTube. And I've tried, for years I've been filing appeals, trying to figure out exactly why they demonetized the channel. They also demonetized our website because we ran Google ads on our website, which all goes through this thing called AdSense that Google owns. It's very complicated and very confusing. I still haven't been able to figure it out. And I'm a tech guy, I mean, by nature, by history. But what I did is I've been filing these appeals And in 2020, I filed an appeal, and they reinstated the monetization of the Google ads on my website. So now Google ads do run, and I do get paid on the Cruise Report website. And I just assumed that was the same AdSense account for my YouTube channel. So I've been fighting this battle with YouTube for 10 years, trying to figure out, filing appeal after appeal. I don't even really know why it was demonetized. I've chatted online with several different people at YouTube, and it just didn't go anywhere. You just can't get any help. It's very frustrating. Somebody got my parking place. I usually park right up front in that corner spot, and all the spots are taken. That's okay. I'll park over here in right next to the handicap spot.
Two hours later.
Good morning again, everybody. I've got everything done here I needed to do at Einstein's. Getting ready to head home. I got a bagel for Ricky, so she should be happy. And I'm going to turn my camera around. I don't think you need to be looking at me. Raise it up a little bit, get it over that windshield. So as I think you could see, it was a little bit nicer in this Einstein's than it is the one we normally go to, but they do get very busy. And it's the downside to this, even though they do have the better bagels, is they have two problems. They don't seem to keep the coffee made as well as the Einsteins I normally go to. It's very common for them to run out of coffee here. So a lot of times I'll go up and try to get a cup of coffee and it's empty. That's a downside. The other downside to this location is it's very noisy. Partially because they have a lot of employees, they have a lot of customers, but they also keep the music playing pretty loud inside. And it's, when you're trying to work, makes it a little bit annoying. I really prefer quiet restaurants, and there's not many of them. People for some reason seem to like a lot of noise. Somebody made a comment on my last video about how BMW riders go to Starbucks and Goldwing riders must go to Einstein's. I don't know about that. I don't think many motorcycle riders go to Einstein's, but they're not that prevalent. But personally, I cannot stand Starbucks coffee. I'm not a big fan of that strong dark roast. Now, Dawn loves it. Dawn is a dark roast coffee drinker. I drink more of a medium roast. Never have been a fan of Starbucks coffee. How about you? Do you like Starbucks? Put it in the comments down below. I'd be curious to know how many of you are Starbucks fans. I know they're putting Starbucks on a lot of the cruise ships now, and it's really no good for me. I just soon have the cruise ship standard standard issue coffee. Einstein's used to have a really good, you could buy the coffee beans and grind them yourself. They had a vanilla hazelnut, I think it was. And it was the best coffee I had ever had. And I used to buy it, and I would take it on the ships with me with a French press, and I would make my own coffee every morning. The crew on the ship looked at me sideways like, what's wrong with this guy? Why didn't he take the free coffee? But I would actually make my own coffee. So I think I was the only one that ever did that. But then Einstein's a few years ago was bought out by Caribou Coffee, and they switched over to all the Caribou coffee brands, and the Caribou coffee is not nearly as good as what Einstein's used to have. And I don't know what brand I don't know who Einstein's used to have their coffee roasted before, but it was the best I've ever had, and you can't get it anymore. So in a moment we're going to be taking the toll road 121, which as I told you earlier, I refer to as the Carrollton International Speedway. And that's where I had my motorcycle accident back in 2016. And it was on a Saturday morning. It was actually on my brother's birthday. And I was going about 60, 65 miles an hour, which is slow for 121. And there was a pickup truck in front of me, probably, I don't know, maybe 200 to 300 yards in front of me. And I will take responsibility for not putting enough distance between me and the pickup truck. But I saw him run over something, but he cleared it no problem. He had enough ground clearance. There was a piece of scrap metal or something in the middle of the road, right in my lane. I was in the center lane, and it looked like, I can't confirm that it was, but it looked like the rear axle off of a ATV. And I mean, it was right in the middle of the road. So there was no time to stop. I would not have been able to stop in time. I was hesitant I could have switched lanes. I could have moved over to my right lane. There was traffic on my left, but none on my right that I didn't know that at the time. And I was afraid if I moved over to the right lane, there might be traffic coming up, because like you see now, everybody comes up so fast. If you're only going 60 or 65, you just don't know if somebody coming 80 is going to come up on your right-hand side. And of course, I'm making these decisions in literally 1 or 2 seconds. I was closer to the pickup. I was about like I was with this white van that just pulled in front of me. And that's why I go slower. I'm backing off. It's not that I'm a slow rider. I just want to keep enough distance between me and the vehicle in front of me so that if he rolls over some road debris, I've got time to either stop or get out of the way. And so to keep that distance, that means people are going to be passing me all the time. Now this is about the area where the impact occurred, and you can see there's a lane coming in on my right. There's actually 2 lanes coming in on my right, and people enter this part of the freeway very fast. They come on very fast. So I wasn't sure if somebody was entering. It was probably about right here where I hit the item, and I decided to go ahead and hit it square. I didn't want to be leaning when I hit it. I figured it's better to go ahead and hit it. Now I knew I had already accepted that I was probably going to go down. I figured it would, and I'm thinking of all this in literally 1 or 2 seconds. These thoughts go through your head. I just assume it's going to break the front wheel, blow the tire, break the front wheel, probably break the front forks or bend the front forks. It was that big of a piece of scrap iron. I hit it, and of course it made an ungodly noise. And I was shocked that I was still up. I didn't go down. I was still rolling. I immediately looked in my rear view mirrors to change lanes because I knew I was going to need to pull over. So I figured it had probably broken the wheel or damaged something. And when I looked in my rear view mirror, I could see just black smoke billowing out. And I immediately reached up and turned off the key to shut off the engine. I pulled in the clutch and I pulled over to the side of the road. I don't think the engine probably ran more than 3 or 4 seconds before I shut it off. And what had happened is that piece of scrap iron had been kicked up and it cracked the bottom of the engine casing. It basically sheared off the oil filter. Apparently, when it had the impact, it flung the scrap iron off on the side of the road somewhere. We never did find it. And it was a big piece. I don't know how they didn't find it, but they did look for it, but they never found it. So anyway, now I have this crack in my engine case, and I did have a belly pan, but listen, it shredded that belly pan. If I'd had something like the traction belly pan at that time, I'm sure it would have damaged the traction belly pan where it would be unusable, but it probably would have saved the engine case. Just guessing. But they didn't have traction belly pans for the 2012 Goldwing. So I pulled over and called 911. They sent out a tollway NTTA authority truck and a highway patrol, I think. I don't remember if it was a local police or DPS. That's our Department of Public Safety here. And they made sure I was okay, asked me if I needed an ambulance or anything. I was fine. I didn't get injured at all. It was a miracle that huge piece of scrap iron didn't flip up and take off my left foot or hit my foot or anything, but it didn't. Of course, there's oil all over the road. All the oil puked out of the bike. And fortunately, my back tire never slipped. I never slid on the oil, and there was oil, big, long streak of oil on the highway where all the oil came out of the crankcase. So the officer called a tow truck service, and a big trailer came, and we loaded it up on the trailer. He was able to use a winch to pull it up by the front wheel. The front wheel shot anyway. Now, it did not break the front wheel because it was an impact like you can't even believe. It just shows how tough these motorcycles can be. So, had it towed to the local Honda dealer, and they did the estimate, and it came to about $11,000 some odd to repair the engine. The engine had to be pulled out of the bike. They had to completely, of course, replace the bottom crankcase. They replaced the bearings. They replaced the cylinders were fine, the pistons were fine, but they did have to replace the bearings and some of the seals, and of course, just the task of removing the engine from the bike, and that was back at a time when I had this excellent Goldwing tech. He was the only person in town I would let touch my motorcycle. He was a 20-year Goldwing specific tech. He knew the Goldwing inside and out. He had that engine completely out of that motorcycle in under 4 hours. It was unbelievable. He got the engine removed in less time than it would take me to replace an air filter. It was incredible. I watched some of the procedure, and if you've never seen a Goldwing with the engine removed, you will wonder how in the hell are they ever going to get that thing back together. There are so many cables and hoses and wires just strewn all through. I mean, the frame of the bike. It's like nothing you've ever seen. You'll swear there's no way they would ever get that all back together. And I was without the motorcycle for about 6 weeks. And my insurance, fortunately, they paid the full amount. If it had been an additional $750, they would have totaled the bike. But they went ahead and paid the full amount, and they were good to work with. I was using Dairyland Insurance at the time, and they had the adjuster come over to the Honda dealer and meet with them. And it was, interesting. So every time I ride the motorcycle now on that stretch of road, I'm always very aware of the vehicles in front of me. And some of you, I get a lot of criticism, a lot of comments on my videos about how slow I ride because they always see people passing me. And part of the reason is because what I'm trying to do is keep enough distance between me and the vehicle in front of me, because the vehicle, and we have a lot of pickup trucks here in Texas, they can go over something big enough that could take you down. And that it's still to this day, it's a miracle to me. It's a miracle this the front wheel didn't break, that the tire didn't blow, that the forks didn't buckle. It was that big of an impact, and it was, it really makes you think. So it does change the way you ride. I was very fortunate. And the guy got the motorcycle back together, got the engine, and I kid you not, that engine ran better after he rebuilt the bottom end of that engine. It ran smoother, it was quieter, it even got better gas mileage. I don't know what he did, but he did such a good job. That bike was 100% like it was better than the day I drove it off the showroom floor. It really was amazing what a great job he did. They did replace the front wheel. I think they did. I think they replaced the fork seals. They did some other things to the front end to make sure it was up to speed, but he did all the work, and he was a master technician. And he's no longer there. So I am really nervous if I ever have to take my Goldwing. That's why I was so concerned when I had the incident in Midland. And I did find problems that I had to fix on my own. So anyway, I've bored you enough with that story. Thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I will see you on the next Cruiseman's MOTOVLOG.